Hello all, welcome to the What If series. With me as always is Hans Starr. He hasn't ditched or bailed yet, so I haven't driven him crazy yet
I've
with
been
my
thinking.
bad recording schedule.
I've been thinking about it, but I don't have anything better going on right
Better,
now.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything better going.
Hey,
on
at least
right
these ones don't last 4 hours like they used to on your show.
now. Yeah, and I'm not as drunk as I normally would.
Yeah,
on
you're
my
not
show.
as drunk as you used to be. Oh, but that maybe takes away some of the charm. Although we did talk about ships a lot. But anyway,
Yeah.
moving along.
We did.
So today's What If series, sorry, I have to fix this. Today's What If series is going to be what if we fought a war like we did in World War II in the Pacific and kind of in Europe, but more we're going to focus on the Pacific. With today's media and bullshit. It's the easiest way I can explain it. With modern media and bullshit, would we still be able to win? Because I don't know. I can't. I mean, we've definitely got the especially the United States. They have the manpower, the firepower, and the ships to do it. But can we really, as a 21st century people, stomach what a world war brings us? Especially like the war in the Pacific.
I would say no.
Yeah.
To be blunt and cut it to the point, I would say no.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
the war in Europe was bad enough.
Yeah, the war in the Pacific
the island hopping war in the Pacific was especially brutal on both sides.
Yes.
And I do not see, with today's modern reporting and technology, them being able to pull that off at all.
No, I mean, like, just look at Okinawa. And, I mean, they were throwing grenades into holes and not checking who was there first. So, I mean, what happens to the war effort when reports start coming home of American GIs throwing grenades into and killing babies and families and children, or surrendering Japanese troops? Because that happened in World War II as well. I mean, they were waving the white flag, and we still shot them. Still shot them.
And don't even get started on the flamethrowers, because flamethrowers were used way more, in my opinion anyway. Flamethrowers were used way more in the Pacific than they were in the European.
Oh, absolutely theater. They were.
And I know they were used, obviously, I'm sure, in other areas, but mainly on D-Day is when, to me, you see mostly the flamethrower use in European battlefields.
Yeah.
I know they were used other times, but I'm saying the main time you see them in the Pacific, it was flamethrowers all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Well, there's a cave over there. Oh, well, send a flamethrower through it. See what happens. See what comes out.
And could you imagine with today's modern social media?
My
Rambling
God.
Canuck, LOL. I just flamethrowed some people in a cave, and of course they would have to take a selfie.
Of course.
Next to like the charred people.
Yeah. But I mean, just the reporting alone. I mean, and really, you don't need to look that far back in history to see that what we're saying here is somewhat right. I mean, you go back to the Afghanistan war after 9/11. And Al-Qaeda knew that if they crossed the border into Pakistan, the UN troops couldn't follow them because they weren't allowed to. Even if they were shooting at them, they couldn't fire back.
Yeah,
it was against policy.
Because they crossed.
They crossed into Pakistan
on a map. They crossed a line.
Yeah, they crossed the line on a map. couldn't follow them. Vietnam, there was many occasions of that. The DMZ zone was used against the Americans because the Americans couldn't go in there, but yet the enemy could.
And they had what was it, Laos and Cambodia, we can't go over there. Well, that's where the people are that were just killing us. Well, but they went over this imaginary line so we can't go there.
Due to rules and regulations from Washington, no, you can't bomb there. Oh, okay.
Me personally, I think the war in the Pacific would be a nightmare for the United States as far as politically and news wise.
Oh, yeah.
B, we would get so bogged down because of the politics and the news that we would never have won the war.
No, you couldn't.
I'm not taking away from the war on the European battlefronts, but the war in the Pacific was super effing dirty, hand to hand,
it was
nasty combat.
Yeah, I mean,
like on a whole. To me,
on a whole new level. I mean,
it was on a whole other level from Dolphy and his people.
Yeah, it was different, and I mean back then, the Japanese would have been able to be successful with their theory because their thoughts even back then in 43, 44, 45, the thoughts were that if they sent enough bodies home, they could get the Americans to the table. They didn't have to win the war. They didn't have to beat them militarily. They just had to send enough bodies home that the American people went, we're kind of sick of this shit. Get us out of there. And I think that's what would happen today.
Which is a very valid point. Even at that time, that was a very very valid point. If we send enough of your sons and fathers back home in caskets, how many are you willing to accept before you say, "Hey, let's talk this out"?
This ain't worth it.
Let's talk this out.
Yeah, but nowadays that would be ramped up every time a bomb landed on the wrong target. I mean, if you swing it over to the European front, could you imagine the publicity after Dresden?
Oh.
Like, yikes.
Oh, it would be, it would be so crazy.
And I mean, it would the media would have a field day. They're never too proud of themselves to discredit, degrade, undermine anything that's good for the country. Like, I don't know, maybe winning the war. But they'd be really keen to point out, well, there was a school there, and you just killed all these kids, and how dare you, and we want 15 tribunals put up, and we want these soldiers must be brought back from the front and put on trial. Don't you dare give them a medal. And that would happen.
Well,
I mean, the first American soldier to throw a grenade into a foxhole and it accidentally be kids in there and not soldiers would be the first ones put on trial.
Which has happened with Iraq and Afghanistan historically.
Yes. So it's not too far of a stretch. And it wouldn't take that much because you got to think in a modern day and age, they would have that thing. There'd be no way they could keep the cameras out of there. Cameras would be there.
Oh, no. There would be reporters attached to every single unit. And again, for their downfall, if they had service, there would be soldiers themselves, like we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan, posting stuff they never should have posted.
But yeah, there's that
on social media.
But I mean, just on the media end alone, I mean, it would be crazy. It'd be insane.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to move 5 feet without 15 people asking questions, and God help you if you looked at Twitter.
Yeah.
And it would be a disaster, an absolute disaster.
There would have been so much red tape that they would not have made it past the first one or two islands.
Because one of the main things the American military had back in the day was that a lot of the stuff that we now look back on and go, oh, we really shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Never was told to the public at the time. That shit didn't get released till like 2, 3, 4 years later.
And all
after the war was done. There was you will not report on this, you will not type this, you will shut the up. This never happened.
And at that time today. And at that time you had reporters that believed in the greater good of winning the war for the country. And nowadays that would be totally 500% opposite of them.
Well, not only that, but there were some that wanted to get the news out. The problem is to get the news out, they had to go through the military.
Yeah.
So if the military did not approve of what you were typing, you never saw the light of day.
Which definitely wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
We would have been dead in the water. We would have made it maybe 2 islands if we didn't get too much flack from the first island in the Pacific, and that would have been it. It would have basically been a stalemate because.
Well, not only that, but the body count.
Yeah, we would have been neutered.
We had 2,000 soldiers day one on a little speck of dust, no bigger than this on the map. That was just to get on the beach.
Yeah.
The body count alone, I don't think, if you think about it, you lose 2,000 troops over 6 years and people are kind of batting an eyelash going, yeah, I think we were there a little long.
Yeah, you lose 2 or 3,000. You lose 2 or 3,000 troops in the afternoon.
Yeah,
that's definitely good.
Well, that was a good day in World War II. Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
you lose 2,000 to 3,000 people in about an hour and a half, half hour, depending on what battle you're talking about.
But I know we're talking about the Pacific, but even D-Day. You cannot do D-Day nowadays because think of how many people were lost just trying to take the beaches in Europe.
Yeah.
In France. It would not happen today, period.
I think a lot of ways, if the war would play out today, once France falls, there's people calling for, we'll get the hell to the peace table. Like the minute France falls.
I agree.
Pearl Harbor does spice things up a little bit, but I think once the body counts start coming home,
they would totally forget about the retribution. The whole thing to start with would be like it was even in World War II.
Yeah.
Retribution for Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But like you just said, once the body count soared like it did in the Pacific in World War II, the American people are not going to, in a modern time like now,
are not going to put up with that.
Yeah,
no.
The Allies in general, because I know the Americans weren't the only ones.
Yeah, the Allies in general, they're not going to be able to put up with that because their people are going to be calling for a peace treaty.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes in. It's going to be, wait a second, hold the phone. No.
After the very first battle of thousands of every country that's sons and daughters that are lost of all the Allies, they're going to want to go to the peace table, period.
Yeah. And the media are going to, of course, spin it that we're the big bad invaders anyway.
Oh, because all the media is going to show is...
yeah, it'll give them a field day.
All the media is going to show is toasted women, toasted children from...
Oh, yeah.
Being fragged by grenades or from...
And in World War II, they would have a lot of footage and B-roll. and a lot of B-roll.
You know,
A lot of B-roll.
I mean, when they got deep into the Pacific Campaign, like you were saying, and like I was saying, it was pretty much grenades and flamethrowers.
Yeah.
To flush people, the Japanese, well, I say people, the Japanese out of these caves and holes and everything in the Pacific. And like you said, all it takes is one incident of I lit that freaking hole up with a flamethrower and there was 5 kids in there and a mom.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it runs on the front page of the New York Times. And there's protests and Americans hollering to go, and not just Americans, Canadians, British,
worldwide,
Australians, everybody that was part of the coalition of allies. Hey, let's go to the peace table because we're not going to put up with this mess.
No. Why are our sons and daughters dying on islands I can't even pronounce? Bring them home.
Well, and not just that. Why are you killing innocents?
Yeah.
On these islands.
Oh, that would be a major cry in modern day.
I mean, to be honest with you, to me, that would be more of an outcry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, than why are our sons and fathers
dying
that is
on
true.
These beaches. That is true. Yeah, but just 5 minutes ago, we got 3 Marines shot from that cave. Yeah, but you should have gone in and inspected it one by one. You shouldn't have, and I went Packy there first, but that was bad.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like, bloody hell, right? It wouldn't take much in an all-out war. I don't think we could do it again. I just don't.
And barring the media, as we were talking about before we went live, went to record this video. Even the rules of engagement.
Oh,
if you go by the modern rules of engagement, as we've seen with not only the United States but all of the allies again in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, okay, they were shooting at you. Are you sure they were fighting age men? I think they were. Yeah, they have weapons. Well, did they hit anybody? Well, I mean, not yet, but they've shot up our positions. Yeah, but have they actually hit anybody? No, not yet, but we really want to bomb them. We really want to do this. We really want to do
an airstrike.
And they're like, well, I mean, they could.
There's this
could
school 25 yards from you, and
it's like
a bomb could stray, and
they're this could. I mean, technically, that could be celebratory gunfire because of a wedding or something like that. So we don't know that we really want to give you the green light to attack these people.
Yeah.
So, you have the news, and if horrible stuff to the news happens of women or children getting blown up or toasted with a flamethrower or whatever, but then on top of that, you have the more modern rules of engagement that neuters, for lack of a better term, totally neuters pretty much all militaries around the world right now.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, the Japanese would know it.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd exploit it. It's the same thing that happened in Vietnam. It's the same thing that happens in modern day battlefields. Where, I mean, in World War II, you approached a military position, they'd say Aardvark, and if you didn't answer Bald Eagle, they shot your ass. They didn't wait to find out if you were firing at them, right? It was, he didn't say Bald Eagle, so I shot him.
Again, I know it's not like a documentary, but even if you think back to Saving Private Ryan, they would scream lightning, and if you didn't scream flash, they were ready to light you up with everything they had.
Yep.
Because that couldn't fly today. No, it wouldn't fly today. It would be like, well, did they shoot at you first? Well, no, but they didn't say flash.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't matter.
they could have been surrendering. Yeah, but they didn't say flash. Well, they didn't say flash because they were getting their white flags
Yeah,
ready.
yeah. Well, they didn't know Flash. Well,
Yeah,
then they got shot
yeah.
because that was the World War II mentality, right?
I,
If you approach my position and you don't say what you're supposed to say, I'm lighting you up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that because my buddy didn't do that 2 days ago and he died. So if you don't tell me, bald eagle, I'm blowing you up. I don't care if you
which
have a red cross, a blue cross, or a purple elephant on your back. If you don't
which
tell me what I need to hear, I'm blowing you up.
which again, I know we're talking about the Pacific, but this again goes back to the war in Europe. When the original paratroopers dropped in, they had the little
The
cricket,
clockers.
the little clickers, and the Germans figured out pretty quick. Well, we can kill Ramlin Canuck and take his clicker, and if we hear a clicker, then we're going to do our clicker, and when the people show up, we can shoot them with a machine gun.
Yeah.
So to me, that's part of the reason they went to code words instead of like clickers and clackers and whatever.
Well, the clockers was you had to respond with a certain click.
Okay.
Like they would click once and then I think it was 2 to reply, depending on which division, but I think the airborne it was 2 to reply, one click replied by 2 clicks, and if it wasn't 2 clicks you lit them up.
but even that you have
yeah,
to
it's easy to catch on.
Well, I mean, and not just that. I'm saying in the fog of war.
Yeah. Well, like
obviously,
in the United States,
you're
good
gonna be
example
scared
of
to
that
death.
is, I mean, they used to say, who won the, you had to be a sports buff, who won the baseball series, who won the series last year? Well, if you don't know, your ass is shot. I mean, that's just,
you know what that makes me think of, right? Which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, although it's an awesome movie. You remember in Red Dawn when and I can't remember his name. Remember the pilot gets shot down in Red Dawn and the chick goes over there and she's like, who won the last World Series? And he's like, he's like the Yankees, and she's like, no, MF, and she like cocks her Kalashnikov, and she's like, no, it was so and so, and he's like, come on, darling, I'm cold,
yeah,
but that's how she, questions him.
It was the way it went. Who won the World Series?
Yeah,
who won? Blah 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 blah. Right. If you said the wrong answer, because the Japanese aren't going to know who won the fucking World Series, and they're not going to know, Alabama is next to whatever, or they're not going to know.
I think in that movie she also says, "What's the capital of Texas?" And he says the wrong city, and she's like, "No, it's whatever I'm sorry, whatever the capital of Texas is." She's like, "No, it's Houston, MF," and points the Kalashnikov at him, and he's like, "No,
Yep.
But that was 2 of the questions.
Yeah, that was how you identify in World War II, but you couldn't get away with that now. He gave the wrong response, so I shot him. Well, he was he was part of the Japanese Medical Corps, and you just wasted him. That would go over badly. Whereas in World War II, that would never get out, ever.
He was part of whatever Japan's Red Cross would have been.
Yeah.
He was part of Japan's Red Cross. He was there to give comfort and aid to hurt soldiers and indigenous women and children. Yeah, but he didn't know who won the World Series last year.
Yeah, so I shot him.
It's like, I'm sorry, Rob. We have this thing called a cell for you in Leavenworth. But don't worry, Rob. We're going to totally take care of you. We're going to give you 3 meals a day, a place to sleep.
Yeah. but you going away for a while.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just don't think we could do an all-out war
no,
under modern circumstances. I just don't think we could.
but especially in the Pacific.
Yeah.
I know all battlefields of World War II were gritty and nasty because that's the way world wars are, or wars.
Yeah, but Japan was more
But,
guerrilla, so that's where
but
you
yeah,
run into the
the
problem.
war in the Pacific was even dirtier than the other areas of the war.
I mean,
in World
you
War
had
II.
men and women holding their babies, jumping off of cliffs. Can you imagine that on the evening news?
Yeah, because they
And
they told the emperor they
kicker
would.
and the kicker would be, and the American soldiers just stood there and watched. Right?
There was no
jack
boat.
shit they could do about it, but that would be the headline.
They didn't
guarantee it.
They didn't stop them.
Yep.
There was no boats at the bottom to catch the people that possibly survived.
Yep.
There was no medical care at the bottom for people that hit the rocks as they jumped.
Yep.
And the American spin would be, yeah, but they swore to the emperor they would never give up. It's like, well, I mean, I get that, but we can't really look at people negatively for that. They're very strong in their beliefs. I know we don't understand their beliefs necessarily, but why did you let them do that? Why did you let them perish?
Yep. It would be a freaking media frenzy.
I agree with you.
Nightmare.
I agree with you. I don't think if we even made it past the first island, we would not have made it past the second island if you go by current doctrine and current news coverage and all that stuff.
It would be an absolute shit show.
After one or two battles in the Pacific, the outcry would be so strong to go to the table.
Yeah. They'd have
on our side.
We'd lose a president or a prime minister or a couple of them, and
exactly. It would be a whole other ball game.
Yeah. Well, I hope that this conversation has sparked some interesting conversation. I'm sure there'll be a few comments in the comment section. Han, I'll let you pimp out your channel, and then we'll exit this sucker off.
Everybody, I'm youtube.com/Haunstar. I do fun, mostly weekly streams. Sometimes I may miss a week here or there, but I do streams on Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. Every now and then on Sunday, you'll see my cohorts that have joined my channel. JJ and Chris Knight do streams sometimes on Sundays. All you need to know is if you see a Haunstar stream scheduled, it's going to be fun. That's what we do on my channel, is just have fun. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Haunstar YT. And as always, Rob, I love these conversations because it works my brain out.
Yes, apparently it's been working out your computer. But before your computer completely dies, I'm going to say thank you all. Do keep notice History with R&R. We'll have a Band of Brothers special. I believe we're hosting at least once on History with R&R. More to come next week on that, as it should be in full swing. So I'll have more precise information. But at any rate,
really, if you want to in Pacific, there was
you're cutting out bad.
Okay.
All right. So with that, before Haunstar completely goes into oblivion, thank you all. Take her easy, folks.